did you prepare specifically for this role? Let's go with that.
Sure. Wow. We tried to, I mean, he's a real character, so you go on the internet, and there's really not that much about the guy as far as who he is, what he looked like, where he's from, his family, all that stuff's not there. So there was a lot of freedom as far as the look and the demeanor. But there was a lot of stuff on the books that Kuklinski would say about him. Kuklinski would say he was sick. You have a mass murderer saying another man was sick.
Sure.
Made him uneasy. So you say, okay, well, we obviously have to make this guy, that's our starting point. If this guy says this guy had a problem, we got to make him there. So, you know, you kind of start to think about what makes, no villain thinks they're a villain. No bad guy says I'm a bad guy,
sure.
You know, so you have to start thinking about, well, what makes a sociopath? What, I mean, I'll be honest, you know, this is like 100 times a day. I'll just be driving my car, and I'm like, what if I just jerk the wheel? Or like, you know, you see someone just carrying a bunch of trays. I'm like, what if I just knock those trays? You know, but you don't. You're handcuffed by social expectations and restraint. But a sociopath, I think, starts out small. I don't think a sociopath wakes up and starts murdering. I think they do small things that bust the social barriers and chains, and it becomes an addiction, like a drug. And it snowballs, and then slowly they keep pushing the limits, and they like it more and more, and before you know it, they're committing pretty heinous acts. So you kind of get into a mind frame of doing whatever comes into your brain, saying whatever you think. And there's a real liberation, a real freedom to it. I'm lucky I only worked about 7 days on this movie, because I think if I was in that headspace for 3 months, I'd probably be in jail.
I definitely want to ask you about Snowpiercer,
sure.
Which is something I am fucking amped for.
Me too.
I'm like,
Me too.
I'm sorry for cursing, but I am.
Watch your fucking mouth, bro.
Right, exactly. Talk a little bit about getting to be a part of that film. Who do you play? Everything. Just
Everything. I'll tell you the whole deal, dude.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it though.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It takes place in the future. You know, the whole world is frozen over. It's all of society lives on a train, and it's kind of like an allegory for social class warfare. You know, the poorest people are in the back of the train, and as you move forward in the train, classes rise, and there's a revolt, a revolution from the people in the back to the front of the train. And we have such a good cast, man. Tilda Swinton and Ed Harris and Octavia Spencer and John Hurt, and it was just a great experience. You know, Director Bong is just so good, man. He's so good. He's so good, and he's, you know, I'll tell you, man, the way we shot the movie is so unique. Most times when you're doing a movie, like if you and I were doing a scene, we'd start out doing a wide shot. We'd do the whole scene. Then we'd do your coverage, the whole scene, my coverage, the whole scene. And then the editor would find the cut, you know, and spoon feed the rhythm and the pace to the audience. Director Bong has storyboards laid out so that he's already edited in his brain. So, for example, we'll shoot the first line on you, we'll shoot the second line on me, we'll shoot the third line over here, and you say, well, wait a minute, don't you want the whole scene here? And he's like, no, don't need it. He's already committed to an edit. It's brilliant. It's borderline genius. It's like building a house and saying, instead of needing a bag of nails, it's like saying I need 53 nails. You know, it's literally committing to a vision ahead of time, and the trust that you feel, you're just like, God, this guy's operating on another plane, and I completely surrender to it. You just completely commit to his vision and trust that he knows exactly what he's doing, because he does.
I'll tell you something off camera, but because I'm getting already the wrap-up signal with you.
Okay.
For fans of Captain America, obviously you have, I believe, directors on Cap 2.
Yeah.
When do you actually film? What's your schedule?
I think we start in March, beginning of March.
Okay.
So I start another movie in October, and I think probably around December I'm going to try and sit down with them and start trying to talk about, you know,
sure,
direction and tone.
What are you filming in October?
This movie called A Many Splintered Thing.
Okay.
I guess it's kind of like a romantic. It's going to be classified as a romantic comedy, but it's not a romantic comedy. It's a really unique script. It's a really different approach to that genre. It's like the anti-romantic comedy. And
I like the way you're talking, because that's what I need.
It's really clever, man. It's really well done. We have Michelle Monaghan, who I think is just
Yep. She's okay.
unfairly talented.
Yeah, she's okay. I liked her. Yeah, she's okay.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's come out that you guys are going to do Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
How early on did you know that was going to be that? And have you read the comics? Are you familiar with that whole storyline yet?
Oh, I'm fully up to date with the comics. I know all about it. I kind of, Kevin Feige was talking about that when we were filming the first Captain America, well, even before the Avengers. Just, during the first Captain America, we were talking about potential futures, and, I don't want to give too much away, but...
So you basically know, hypothetically, where even the third movie might go.
Maybe. Maybe.
Is it tough, though, not being able to say anything? Or do you
Kind of. And sometimes I let it slip, to my brother-in-law, who's like a huge comic book geek. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what we're doing. He's like, what? And I'm like, oh, don't. I never said that. Shut up. Yeah, he's all fired up. But that's the best thing about Marvel. That's why Kevin Feige's fucking genius. He knows what the audience wants because he is the audience. He is that comic book fan. So he's not like some, money man twisting his mustache being like, I think they'll like. He knows. He is a comic book fan. So anything that he gets excited about.
So one of the things I also talk a little bit about, though, like, they're going to hook me, but whatever.
Tell him to fuck off.
Right, I like that plan. Talk a little bit about, though, sort of like the demand on you for like working out to be like in shape. Like how much do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's bullshit.
Because I'm sure it would be much easier just to go in and film like...
I've completely let everything go. Well, the movie I'm starting in October, my character, it wouldn't make sense if he had muscle mass, so I'm not working out. But I'll be honest, like, I'm 31, and just kind of... even when I do work out now, things are like clicking, and I'm just kind of like, oh my God, I have 4 more movies where I have to get huge.
Well, is it sort of easier, though, to maintain? Because you were like, in this, you're a little bit muscular. Like,
that's what people are saying. I think I was just wearing tight shirts, bro.
I don't know. Like, I was like, well, maybe he just filmed something with Avengers or something.
No,
like,
I'm telling you, I was just wearing mediums. That's it. It really wasn't that big. No, it's in my brain, thinking about, man, we start Cap in March, so I'm going to have to start training in January. And it's brutal, we're doing 2 hours every day for like 2 or 3 months, and it's food, it's sleep, it's training, it's a full commitment. And I just keep thinking, man, I just got to stay healthy. I just got to make sure I can't afford to have like a bum knee or something.
Or you can't hurt your ankle like Robert did in Iron Man 3.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
So I think they shut down for a little bit.
Did they?
Yeah. Or at least his stuff, obviously.
Right.
But do you sort of, let me ask you this before he comes back in, are you sort of like, the Avengers had to be a blast because you're not in every scene. You get to like work a little bit, you got to enjoy Albuquerque and the barbecue and the movie theater and all that stuff. But like with Cap, as you were saying, like you're going to be in everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Well, it's a much bigger commitment, and the good thing is we did it once. Gearing up for Cap 2, you think, all right, there was obviously a difference in the workload from Cap to Avengers, and you got to get back in that mindset. You got to remember, all right, this is on you, man. You have to take this seriously, and the fact that Avengers did so well, you have an obligation. There is now a serious obligation to fans who are expecting a great movie, and
Sure.
A lot of that starts with making sure you're physically ready to play the role and look the role, and so a lot of that is in my head, and come January, that's my life.
I think my last question for you, or I could keep going, but for what you know about the sequel, what are you most looking forward to that without ruining anything? Because I don't want you to get in trouble. I really don't.
The most I'm looking forward to is exploring a little bit of Steve's, they had all those scenes, the deleted scenes from the Avengers, because a lot of those scenes are for Cap too. You know what I mean? It's Steve's story about.
Is that why they took it out? or because
I mean, maybe. I mean, come on. Avengers was a long movie. It was a long movie. I don't
because
think.
on set I saw those pictures of Cap's apartment, which I think you filmed, and like more like showing him out of place in the world,
Sure.
all that stuff.
Well, that all. I mean, it was good stuff, but it all felt like that's his story. It's a different movie. You know, Avengers. There was so much to cram in, and like I said, it's a long movie anyway. So I think making it any longer would have been just exhausting. But a lot of that stuff is for the Cap 2 movie. That's his story. It's him trying to, on a personal level, adjust to the fact that everyone he knows is gone, and you know, the whole Peggy Carter of it all, and there's a lot of things that he kind of has to come to terms with. So it's I don't know. I'm excited to kind of see flashes of the first Cap. You know what I mean? See his memory of what we now know as an audience of who he was. You know what I mean?
I got to tell you though, and I mean this as a fan of all the movies, the Marvel movies, the love story in Captain America was my favorite of all the love
Oh,
stories.
dude, it's Haley Atwell, man. Isn't she great?
She was fantastic.
She's so good.
But I got to be honest, it was the performances and it was the script. It was everything. They just nailed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you guys nailed it.
There was the scene in Cap where she comes into the bar in the red dress.
Sure.
You know, we did this scene, and we must have done this scene. You know, the cover, John Haley. She came in the red dress, and she tells me, you know, a little about dancing and whatever. And Joe, we must have done that take. I'm not joking. Like 15 times, and the only reason is because Joe he'd come in and give Haley a new direction every time, and every time she crushed it. The things she was doing, every take, I was like, how is this girl
Yeah.
doing something new and different and great every single take? I think Joe was just having fun watching an amazing actress be great. She's phenomenal.
I got to hit stop. Or
Do
he's gonna
your
give me the
thing,
hook.
brother. Do your thing.
Give me the hook. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dude.
Let me hit stop.